Hi everybody, it's Dr. Magnifico from jaredsvillevetandprobably.com. This is Norman. He is at a friend of mine's house. We are actually away at the beach for the weekend and came to visit. And he is sort of the neighborhood cat. So he makes himself known by coming and saying hello to anybody who comes, new to the beach house. And I wanted to talk about collars, cats and collars. So I see a lot of people at my clinic who have collars on their cats. Sometimes it's just a little decorative, cute pink collar with a bow on it. Sometimes it's a bell so people know where their cat is in the middle of the night. And sometimes it's cats like Norman who have his name, a telephone number, and address. In general, I really try to discourage collars on cats, whether it's a flea collar, whether it's an ID collar, whether it's a pheromone collar. Unfortunately, throughout the years, I've seen too many cats get into too many terrible predicaments because of the collar. I've seen cats come in and they have the collar stuck underneath the front arm and it actually acts like a tourniquet, and we've had to surgically remove it and then close the tissue because it's cut into the tissue under the arm, the armpit area. I've seen cats get hung by it, so they go jumping off of the back porch and the collar catches. Most of the collars have breakaways, but they don't always break away. Then if it doesn't break away quickly, it can act like a noose. I've had a cat come in who got stuck in their collar jumping off of the stairs, and it got stuck on the stairs, and it actually started to strangle him. His owner found him before he was strangled to death, thank God. But what it did cause is it caused the nerves in the neck that open the airways to become strangulated and so inflamed that they didn't work, and the cat was actually at the clinic and it was suffocating because the airways couldn't open because the collar had acted like a noose around them, and we actually had to do an emergency tracheostomy and then send him to the ER where he stayed there for 7 days until the nerve function came back and he could come off of his breathing tube. So in general, I'm just not a fan of collars. I think that cats are sort of like little ferrets. They get into a lot of predicaments that otherwise, a normal dog would not. Dogs are really fine with collars, and I don't think I've ever seen one bad thing happen from a collar, but cats are different. If your cat is outside, there's too many things it can get stuck on, there's too many things they wedge themselves into, and there's too many problems that might arise. There is an exception to this rule, and that would be Norman. Norman is this sort of community cat, and if he didn't have his collar on, I don't think people would recognize that he is who he is. So for all of us who are coming new to the beach house, that collar says, I live right around the corner, and thanks for feeding me, but I do belong here. So maybe there are times where the risks do not necessarily outweigh the benefits, and it's good that although he's a community cat and he's well loved, everybody knows who he is, and it's an easy identifier for them. So like everything else in medicine, you always have to think about the risks versus the benefits, and then you have to ask yourself whether you really need it. I think for cats that are indoors and very safely indoors, I'm not such a fan of them. I think there are too many things they can get caught on. I think it's more important to have a microchip and use that as your identifier. But for cats like Norman who are outside walking around and sort of at the mercy of the community, it's probably worth the risk that he takes. As you can see, he's a little feisty. So that's my video on cats and collars. If you have any questions, you can find me anytime at jaredsvillevetandprobably.com. Take care. Bye.